Man, if you had asked me to list the reasons why the Calgary Flames would be failing so early into the season, Dustin Wolf turning into one of the worst starting goaltenders in the NHL would have been so low, it would have been seen by Mole Man down in Subterranea. That plus all kinds of craziness on the jumbotron in San Jose and Boston, everybody unfairly hates Tom Wilson yet again on This Week in Hockey.
You can't do that! You were in the minors longer than me, you dumb fuck.
Or at least I thought he was gonna until he blew it!
As they say in hockey, let's do that hockey.
A wild and crazy second week of the season as the Buffalo Sabres went from complete laughingstock to now suddenly kind of back. Pittsburgh Penguins went from tank for McKenna to bullies of the Metro, and the San Jose Sharks, well, they're still the only winless team in the NHL. Sorry, Sharks bros, you probably want to skip this video. It's not going to be pretty for you. The most interesting game of the week came at the start of the week when the Buffalo Sabres, then flailing, took on the injured Florida Panthers in what seemed like an absolutely get-right game for the Cats. What transpired was really shocking as the Panthers not only lost to the Sabres, they got shut out. Alex Lyon, of all people. I mean, I know that Barkov and Tkachuk are really good players, but you can't tell me that losing the two of them means the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions are reduced to this. And it's bad enough to lose Buffalo, but getting shut out, even the Ottawa Senators had the goddamn decency to put up 4 goals in their embarrassing 8-4 loss. Please, Panthers, get it together. Big Richard move of the week goes to Canadiens head coach Marty St. Louis, who was spotted jogging up and down the stairs right in the middle of Nashville Predators practice, in a move so blatant that even Bill Belichick wouldn't bother doing that, assuming at any point he was able to run up and down stairs. Apparently it's fine for hockey coaches to just take in their opponent's practices as long as they're getting absolutely shredded while doing so. As a result, Spencer Carberry has directed that an elliptical be put in the press box of Capital One Arena for him to use before every home game, like 5 to 6 hours before. Letter of the week is T for tribute, or could be touching or teary-eyed. Regardless, it was quite a sight to see Brad Marchand in his first game returning to TD Bank Garden as Florida Panthers face the team that he once captained, the Boston Bruins. Well, it is nice to see hockey players showing some emotion, particularly in a charged environment like Boston for Marchand. I only thought when watching the scene was, man, I hope they included that clip of him tonguing Ryan Callahan, or else the tribute is absolute shit in my opinion. Speaking of jumbotrons, the whoopsie doodle of the week belongs to the San Jose Sharks and their jumbotron operator who posted a quote offensively worded message edited by a fan on the jumbotron. While the message itself seems innocuous, San Jose Sharks love ice, which makes sense for a hockey team, you forget that this was on Hispanic Heritage Night and there's currently a government entity with the initials ICE that is escorting Latin American citizens to a penalty box somewhere in a dark abandoned hockey rink that nobody else can see or visit for penalties that they made up, such as skating over the blue line too fast. Drip of the week belongs to the University of Notre Dame, who unveiled their new uniforms, which are just absolutely gorgeous. In particular, the Fighting Irish logo has been updated to include a hockey stick, but just in general, these uniforms, and it had hockey fans wondering why the Carolina Hurricanes couldn't just hire whoever made these jerseys, other than the guy who shits at something on Canada that he just sends off to custom make for a mock-up. The really he scored of the week belongs to Liam O'Brien, Big Tuna, who scored his first goal since April 2024. Over a year and a half between the bearded enforcer for the Utah Mammoth. So Yaroslav Askarov, are you okay? Did you see Alex Nedeljkovic just give up that spot to Riley Smith in week 1 and thought you had to follow it up as well? Oh, and I forgot to do this last week, but
Say the line, Bart!
If you're a goaltender, tend the goal!
Vote of the week, and I don't mean greatest of all time, goes to everybody involved in taking away Gabriel Landeskog's first regular season goal in 3 years. Talking to everybody from Andre Turigny for challenging this goal, NHL video team in Toronto for not seeing that Tushkin very clearly did not touch the puck after Dylan Guenther propelled it back into his own zone, therefore making this not an offside, the refs at the game for not overriding Toronto's decision. After the game, Avs coach Jared Bednar lit into the officiating crew, calling their explanation for disallowing the goal complete nonsense. Take notes, other coaches in the NHL. That's how the coach of a Stanley Cup winning team handles it when he gets screwed over. Sticking with Colorado, the guys being dudes of the week belongs to former Avalanche players John Michael Lyles and Mark Rycroft, who hilariously recreated the Coldplay cheating spouse concert meme. They were on the bench of a charity game featuring Avs alumni, and I know people will say that that meme is old, but you know what? Go a little easy on these old-timers for being a little late in the meme game. They were born in the late 70s and early 80s. They still use their phone as a phone. Boomstick of the week goes to Tom Wilson, who absolutely annihilated Philip Hughes in the game between the Capitals and the Canucks. Just completely detonated Hito after he let a pass go. Now, of course, hockey fans everywhere immediately called this a dirty late hit, because, you know, it's Tom Wilson, that's the knee-jerk reaction. But you know who didn't call it a dirty late hit? The officials, who took a penalty off the board, saying it was a fine hit. I know that this has sparked some controversy, and some people are saying that this hit might be within the letter of the law, but that doesn't make it a clean hit. But you know something? That's not how this works, kiddos. If the NHL wanted to outlaw this kind of hit, they'd have made it illegal. So it's a clean hit by Tom Wilson, and a lesson to all you kids out there to keep your heads up and don't be admiring your passes after you dish them out. You're on the tracks when the train's coming through. The anti-boomstick of the week, on the other hand, goes to Brandon Tanev of the Utah Mammoth, who tried to line up a big hit on Brent Burns of the Colorado Avalanche and himself went flying. Bad enough to get sent flying on a reverse hit. It's even worse when that reverse hit was by a guy so old, proper hit would have shattered him into a million pieces, which would have been put back together at a hospital that was paid for by Medicare. Our only police freakout of the week goes to goaltender Anthony Stolarz, who ripped his team after he got run by Seattle Kraken forward Josh Hill, after which his teammates stood there watching impotently until Stolarz himself took matters into his own hands, just like John Wick. After the game, Stolarz ripped into the rest of his team, asking why they couldn't be the ones running goaltenders on their side. Police freakout extraordinaire Steve Dangle also questioned why the Maple Leafs were playing so soft in front of Stolarz, considering they have one of the heaviest teams in the NHL. And while Craig Berube didn't rip the players publicly, I can only assume that behind the scenes he was toughening his players up by taking a page out of Patches O'Houlihan's playbook. Number of the week is 433, which is the number of points that Avalanche defenseman Cale Makar has scored through his first 400 games in the NHL. This is the third most by a defenseman in his first 400 games in NHL history, behind only the legends Bobby Orr and Paul Coffey. Two guys you really like to be in conversation with if you're Cale Makar. Enjoy your spot on that list for now, Cale Makar, because Matthew Schaefer is coming for that ass. Vote of the week goes to embattled San Jose Sharks coach Ryan Warsofsky, who, when asked about his team's winless record, bluntly said he would trade one of his kids to get his team a win. While he walked that quote back later in the week, I assume under pressure from his wife, I don't think he has anything to apologize for. I have a 3-month-old son, and I'd trade him for a win from my favorite team as well. Because I know whoever gets him is going to want to return him within 6 minutes, because that little guy will not stop pooping or crying if he's not within 6 inches of his mother at all times. Right, folks, kids come with DLC. That's how they getcha. But for the sake of Ryan Warsofsky's children, I hope the San Jose Sharks do get a win soon, or else we're going to see some 8-year-olds in Sharks gear turning tricks on street corners. And to the shock of nobody, villain of the week goes to the Vegas Golden Knights, who only added to their aura of evil by signing recently exonerated, I must say, goaltender Carter Hart to their roster. Now, Hart is barred from playing in a game until start of December. It's just not a good look when you have to immediately put out a statement to justify the signing of a player. As I mentioned before, and must reiterate, Carter Hart was acquitted of all charges in relation to his role in sexual assault of a young woman that took place while he was a member of Canada's World Junior team. That being said, being acquitted does not equal being found innocent. The reason that most teams didn't want to touch him with a 10-foot pole, even Edmonton, who would literally drag their naked bodies across a sea of broken glass to get a goaltender who's competent. Hey, maybe Carter Hart was just lured in by the slogan, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And the fact that this beat out the Ottawa Senators for Villain of the Week after they blacked out broadcasts of their game in their own arena shows how suspect of a move this was by Vegas.